Well, thank you very much, and I would like to continue a note of optimism, I think, here. But first of all, let me convey the apologies from Commissioner Vahey, who would like to have been here, but due to prior commitments was not able to do so. I think this panel discussion is particularly timely. We've just had the EU Western Balkans Summit in Bordeaux, and there was also a visit of the President of the European Commission here recently. And the summit provided the leaders of Europe, and by that I mean the leaders of the EU and its member states and the leaders of the Western Balkans, to affirm once more that the European perspective is in our mutual strategic interest and that it is a shared strategic choice. And if you look at the Bordeaux Declaration, the leaders set out a common vision of an enlarged Europe achieved through a process of political, economic and social transformation based on European values, principles, including the primacy of democracy, respect for human rights, and the rule of law. And the reasons for this are not hard to identify and have been, I think, expressed very eloquently both by the previous speakers. Beginning with geography, the Western Balkans are a part of Europe. They are geographically surrounded by the European member states. Their place is in the European Union, full stop. Naturally, this also offers considerable opportunities in terms of connectivity, transport, trade for the Western Balkans, proximity to the single market, energy, digitalization, human capital. And at the same time, we know very well that we face similar challenges, and our responses to those challenges will always be inadequate if they do not take into account the whole region. We saw this with the pandemic. We saw this even with the wildfires this summer. As for history, I don't think I need to repeat. Joschka Fischer has been much more eloquent on the fragility and the fragmentation which arose out of developments in the 1990s. The European Union upgraded its initial response of political of stabilization and association to one, as I've said, based on transformation, based on democracy, fundamental rights and values, and the rule of law in the interest of citizens. And as the Bordeaux Declaration testifies, these remain our goals today. So the future of the region is in the European Union. And you see poll after poll in the region continue to demonstrate the aspiration of people across the Western Balkans to join the European Union. The logic of integration is also strong when you look at any of the big challenges that we face today: climate change, response to new technological innovations, social equality, which was mentioned earlier. And Joan, if I may say, because you opened, and it's good for a speaker to be polemical at the beginning, but I really do reject the notion of the Bordeaux summit being a great evasion. On the contrary, it was an opportunity to repeat the commitment which we need to deliver on, all of us. And similarly, I would really avoid what I think is a really distorting phrase to refer to cultural apartheid. This totally distorts the strong cultural, social, political and economic relationships between the member states of the European Union and the region here. So how are we working to achieve these goals today? Again, the Bordeaux Declaration recalls that the EU is by far the region's largest partner, its main investor and principal donor. As a partner, the European Union has recently revised its enlargement methodology with the aim of putting greater emphasis on the so-called fundamentals: the rule of law, fight against corruption, economic governance, and public administrative reform. We all know, our partners as well, that these are absolutely vital, both to ensure stability within the European Union, but also resilience within the countries themselves when they enter. So this requires partners to be rigorous and to implement comprehensive reforms in a sustained manner. And it requires the EU to continue to demonstrate that its approach is merit-based. Now here, the most pressing challenge is for the EU to officially begin accession negotiations with Albania and North Macedonia. Both countries have delivered on reforms and the European Union has been committed to this path since March 2020. And it's also in the interest of the EU to deliver in return. So we need to renew efforts to achieve this goal as soon as possible. Turning to the European Union as an investor, the European Union dwarfs all other partners. The EU alone accounts for 70% of total trade with the region. As regards direct foreign investment, the EU accounts for 73% across the region. And with the initiative for a common regional market, the EU is providing an opportunity to the region for even closer integration with the EU single market before accession. So building a common market of 18 million people functioning on the basis of EU rules and standards could be a game changer. And the same goes for the European Union and its member states as a donor. Quite simply, no one comes near the European Union. The European Union, as Team Europe, was by far the largest supporter of the region during the COVID-19 pandemic. 13 million pieces of medical equipment and supplies provided across the region, more than 3.3 billion euros in support, and more than 3 million vaccines delivered, and more to come. And above all, the European Union's economic and investment plan, conceived at the same time as the European Union was designing its own recovery plan, promises up to 30 billion in grants and investments for the recovery of the region, particularly by improving connectivity, strengthening human capital, and supporting the green and digital transformation of the region. Of course, I don't underestimate the challenges that exist to the EU and the region from outside, including from some third countries, as well as the debates and competing priorities from within. These will continue to demand attention, but the logic of increasingly close relations between the European Union, based on an integrationist enlargement model, will continue to be compelling and will continue to represent the best chance of ensuring the stability, peace, and prosperity of the entire region in the long term.